and welcome back to another episode of the Male Perspective. I am your host, Lana Reid, and today on this day, I have with me a gentleman by the name of Raxiel Liz. He is an author, film director, actor, speaker, mental health advocate. Did I miss anything?
Music artist.
I'm a music artist, okay. and I have had the pleasure of sitting with him on another podcast, so I'm looking forward to spending time with him today and learning a little bit more about him. But first and foremost, as I always do, I take a quick moment to pause, say thank you to you for making time for me today. Time is a gift. Once we give it, we cannot get it back. So I appreciate you carving out this space in your day to talk to me. And with that,
Definitely.
sir, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Now, I want to start off with, like I said, you're a film director. And as I was getting ready for today's show, I was watching your short, Lion in the Sand.
Okay.
Awesome, powerful piece of work. At the end, I found myself just clapping and cheering for the guy at the end, like, yes, he finally just...
Toss the phone away.
Yeah, just finally. But for those who are watching and have no clue of why I'm so excited, I guess, could you explain the plot line and what it's about and how it came to be, and why I'm ranting and raving about this film? Could you share with everybody what it is?
Definitely. Lion in the Sand, actually, it's pretty funny that you bring that up, because the actual actor in the movie, he's not an actor at all, like at all. The movie was inspired by him. Like everything that Lion in the Sand stood for, I know this guy. I was in the previous job. And when he got hired, I was like in the break room and talking to some people. This was a while ago. I know him for a long time. And he was in the break room. I was there hanging out with some people having a lunch break and whatnot. And he was there. And he was a new employee, this and that. And days would go by. Nobody would say nothing to this guy. Wow. He would just sit there. He was real big dude, a little heavy set, whatever. He appears how he is in the movie. Like I didn't alter nothing. He has the big fro, very quiet like that. So me being the person, people always take me like I'm a very extrovert, which I am to a certain extent when in the media eye, so to say. Like once the cameras come on, I'm like, hey. But when I'm up and about, if I'm shopping through Target or I'm walking through Walmart, whatever, I'm very quiet to myself. Like, I don't really interact too much with people. Somebody makes eye contact, I say hello, whatever the case is. But I actually appreciate alone time a lot.
Gotcha.
So this guy, when I saw him all the time, one day I was just like, I'm gonna go say hi to this guy.
Yeah.
So I sat down next to him, and I had I'll never forget, I had Chick-fil-A. And I was like, hey man, I got this Chick-fil-A and I don't want the fries. You want the fries? And he was, I always noticed he bring food from home. Okay. And to me, I'm like, either you like your home food or it's something else going on. Maybe, you just got the job and you're not there yet to be buying lunch like that. Okay. So he said, sure. He ate the fries and we started talking and we got along great. And I found out he makes music beats. He's like a beat maker and stuff like that. He's just very quiet. Yeah. So we got cool from that day on. So I told him, oh, you make beats? I do music and I do movies. I can use a person with the scores and all these things. And anyway, the friendship built from there. Awesome. And the more I got to know him, the more I realized like he's a person that even when he opens up, he's still like, hey man, how you doing? That's his excited voice. I've heard him laugh and he's laughing. Like we've had fun before. We've gone on trips together. Great guy. Yeah. But if nobody talks to him, he would never talk to nobody in return.
Wow.
So somebody said to me one time, it was like, they were like, his name is Aaron Moses. And it was like, yo, I don't understand how you and Aaron Moses get along. He never says nothing. I'm like, you don't have to, because I could hear him. So that became a joke between me and him that it dawned on me. I was like, man, imagine making a movie where the main actor never talks, but the only person he talks to is his therapist. But as the viewer watching the movie, you never actually hear him talk. You just see when the therapist asks him a question, the story takes place.
Gotcha.
You just kind of see the visual of what he's telling him without hearing him say it. So everybody in the movie is talking except him. And every time he's about to say something, they cut him off, or like he don't feel good to say anything, or he'd rather be by himself. And every opportunity he gets, something happens when he misses an opportunity, and the world just keeps hitting him over the head and hitting him over the head, and this guy just can't get a break, and nobody is ever stopping to go, yo, you all right? They just keep wanting something. Hey, can you lend me this money? You saw in the movie, like people was like, hey, can you?
I was mad at you. I was mad.
You know,
I was mad at you. I was like,
you know, my character, it's like, I wrote that part for myself. Well, I wrote the part, and then when I read it, at first I wasn't going to be in the movie. At first I was going to just direct it and keep it like that. But then I found when I wrote that scene, I thought it was so funny. Like, I was like, this is so effed up, but it's so funny to watch because there's people like this for real.
Yes.
Like, they're so disconnected emotionally and mentally from people that don't, you know, that guy's mom just died, and you over here talking to him about you feel his pain because of chicken that you had.
I know, right?
But the chicken was actually inspired for my life because I had a baby chicken when I was a kid.
Okay.
And my one, you know, we had a bunch of chickens, and my stepdad, he let me keep one. And then every time I come home from school, I would notice the chickens are missing, but I never paid attention to it. And then one day when I was looking for my chicken, I went to the kitchen, and I see him like, what? You know, and at first I was like, nah, that can't be my chicken. So I'm looking for the chicken. When they served food that night, I realized I was eating the chicken.
Oh, wow.
But, you know, the story wasn't like, you know, like, so it was kind of like, it was exaggerated in the movie,
Gotcha.
But it was a true story. So the movie is a whole scenarios of true stories that I've ever experienced through people that I've known that told me stories. And I just took a bunch of like stories that I've heard and compounded them into like, what if everybody was pushing their stories onto one character, but nobody ever stops to ask the character,
hey, man, you're good. You're good. And, I mean, that's human nature. Like, everybody's kind of in their own zone, and the person right next to you, you're not paying attention. Like, hey, you're okay. I mean, because in the story, Loquacious, he was another jerk. It's like, can you come and help me move? And he didn't lift a box the whole time. And I was like, can I come through the screen? Like, come on now.
It was funny to film that. And it's funny because Loquacious as well is not an actor. He's a friend of mine.
They did good.
He did fantastic. Yeah, everybody was like, because they always joke with me saying like, hey, if you need help filming something, So I was like, hey, I actually do need help filming something. And I wanted to do it with real people.
Yeah,
that was the thing. Like, to me, it was like, I want to make this movie with real people, and and everybody that was in it wanted to really be in it. They was like, oh, put me in one of your, like, how people say that in passing, put me in one of your movies, and you're always like, yeah, no doubt, and it never happens. In my mind, I was like, I'd be ready. I'm gonna get you. So I wanted the movie to feel really real, and we got lucky. Like, the scenes where it was snowing in the beginning, we didn't know it was going to snow. I was inside that house and we was filming. I look out the window. I was like, is it snowing? So we stopped filming. I took all the equipment and ran out into the snow with an umbrella and just started filming. Like, that movie was like blessings on blessings happening, like, to make it really good.
It's powerful.
And then the title of it came from, because I'm a Leo. And, the Leo lion. And I always feel like, so the title is like Lion in the Sand, but lying in the sand, like you're laying down in the sand, and lying, a lion to himself, and nobody ever asked the lion, are you okay? He could be on the top of his mountain, and the giraffe, this, or all, I don't know if you ever heard that story of the giraffe needs a favor, the deers need a favor, everybody needs a favor, but nobody ever asked the lion, how you doing, because he's the king.
Yeah.
So that's why I named it Lion in the Sand. Like, everybody want to seek advice from this person. And nobody ever asked this person, do they need help? Are you okay? Yeah. Do you need something? So, not to make it so long-winded, but that's what the whole topic to that short story came out.
It was I was like, let me click and let me watch. And I was like, wow, this is very, very, very powerful. I mean,
I appreciate it.
So, I mean, you got to get this thing submitted. I mean, what's the next?
Originally, I wanted to put it like in film festivals.
Yeah, that's what I
want to put it in film festivals and everything like that. The crazy part with that movie was, like, I had so many things I wanted to do with it, and it's almost like the day we finished it, COVID hit. Like, all the craziness happened. We got lucky that we was able to finish it, but it was wild how COVID hit. Like, I mean, right when we finished it, boom, COVID hit. So all the film festivals and everything was shut down. Everything was like shut down. Everything was closed away. And during that time, my wife was pregnant and whatnot. So I kind of I was like, all right, I finished this giant project, this good project. And now, COVID's here and she's pregnant, so I gotta handle all the bills and everything, because she couldn't go to work and she was really sick. But she caught COVID while she was pregnant. It was a nightmare. So I kind of left the scene for like a year or so.
Okay.
So like not really communicating with anybody, just kind of buckled down and worked hard and took care of family and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And not that I lost contact with a lot of people, but the people I was in the mix with on a daily
Gotcha.
kind of got a little bit disconnected from. Then I moved somewhere else further away. So I took like a
Okay.
big break. So now that everything is like settling and it's good, now I'm like back in the scene and promoting more music and promoting more movies. And for the people that was in the movie and told people that they were in this movie, I leaked it on YouTube for they could have proof. Like,
Gotcha.
it wasn't this movie. When it's coming out, I don't know. You know? And
Yeah.
I've been in them shoes, so I was like, let me put this out so people can appreciate it. The people that's in it can show it off, whatever. And then you never know, the right person might just be looking at it like, hey, I like this, you know. So I put it on YouTube to just get it out there and get the word going until I'm ready to like really start pushing it along with other projects.
Okay, awesome. Okay. Now let me get into the underlying theme of line in the sand. You know, we're talking about this guy's mental health and everybody just kind of avoiding the fact that, you know, he needs some attention and somebody to say, hey, you okay? Mental health is one of your things, one of the things you're into. And like you mentioned with the chicken, and I didn't know that was a personal story. You know, whenever it comes to mental health advocates or therapists or somebody, people want to sit down with somebody that they can relate to, somebody that they can say, okay, this person understands what I'm going through. And
Right.
you, sir, have some background that people can really say, okay, Raxiel gets it. So I'm wondering if you can share some of your background. I heard some of it, so I'm just a piece of it, but I'm pretty sure there's more.
Well, to start off, people always laugh at the way I kind of go into it, because like I get asked to like if I could go back in time and reverse things, would I change things? And of course, everybody, you know, we could bring somebody back from the dead. Of course you would, but let's be realistic. That's not going to happen. So I tend to not dwell too much on like regret and what could have, would have, should have, and all that stuff, especially on decisions that it wasn't like a decision I made. Like I didn't decide for this person to pass. So when things like that, and so I just wanted to say that so people could understand when I say, when I give my feedback on what I went through, nobody's like, I've been told like, hey man, you say it really like, it just rolls off your shoulder. And I'm like, but what you want to say? So saying that, growing up, I was really close to my brother. And I was like 14 at the time. If I'm not mistaken, he was like 18, 19, and he was killed, unfortunately. He was shot and killed right in front of me. It was like, make a long story short, bunch of us, he used to work in the movie theater in 86th Street in New York. And we was coming back. He was one of the managers, assistant managers there. So this is a while ago. This is like when Beauty and the Beast, the cartoon, wasn't actually in theaters.
Okay.
And, you know, I was like, yeah, I want to watch Beauty and the Beast. So we see that, and we're driving back home, and, you know, we was poor. So we only had, his friend only had one car. So we was all in that one car. So we came back from Manhattan to the Bronx, and we was deciding who to take home first. You know, I was in the back seat with my brother. I was sitting on his lap. I was the smallest, and the car was packed. So there was somebody arguing in the street with some girl and hitting her and like really, really like beating this woman up, like really, really bad. So his friend got out of the car and just kind of like didn't threaten the guy in any way, just kind of like, hey, what you doing? You know, like that's not the way you treat a woman or whatever's going on between you and her, man. Just do that, not do it, not be that in private, but like what are you doing out here in these streets doing that? Calm down. The guy was like high, drunk, all the above, and just literally just took out his gun, didn't even say a word, and just started shooting at the car, like unloading his whole entire clip into the car. So mind you, I don't want to say people's names, but my brother's friend got in the car. You know, he just took off with his head ducked. We all ducking, bullets are hitting the car. And then we like hit a few cars on the way down. Like kind of, I don't really know what stopped us. If it was another car we hit or a pole, I don't really know. I wasn't paying attention to that. But, you know, I got out the car and I couldn't get up. So my brother's head basically had a hole in the back of it and a hole in the front of it. And all the blood was on my face and chest and everywhere. You know, I freaked out a little bit. I jumped out. Well, not freaked out a little bit, freaked out a lot of bit. Jumped out and was trying to pull his body out. And everybody was like, oh my God, you know, panicking and, you know, pushing him back in. So then I get pushed back in the car and them in a rush, just like, not like necessarily like toss his body on top of me, but like they wanted to get him to the hospital as soon as possible. So he just kind of like shoved us all back in the car. So I'm like laying down, blood dripping on my face and like trying to get comfortable in the car with 5 other people in a small Buick. We get to the hospital, all that, and you know, nobody really knew how to call my mom, and I had to call her and tell her what happened. And then when they all came, it was like, you ever seen a movie when they're showing like, let's say a hospital scene, they're like showing one person sitting there and you see everybody running by and they kind of just focus on this one individual and the camera's going to them really slowly.
Yeah.
It felt, that's the best way I could describe it, to give people a visual of what I think was happening that day, because I remember sitting down in the hospital lobby and everybody just was, I was invisible. Like, I was literally invisible. Nobody asked me if I was okay. Nobody asked me like, you all right? You want something to drink? Like, nothing. And rest in peace, my mom. Not that she didn't want to, but you hear, you know, it's kind of like, I heard my other son got shot. You're sitting there fine, so I'll attend to you in a second.
Yeah.
You know, as a child, I wasn't getting that part. I was like, you know, but it was like nobody asked me nothing. And like literally like 2 days went by and nobody asked me nothing. Like, and like my mom was such in a panic that when she went to the hospital with my stepdad, they slept there. And I was in the lobby for like a day and a half, just
wow.
Like, it was like, you know, it was crazy. And again, me and her spoke about it a lot.
Yeah.
And I was never upset about it. I wasn't even upset when it was happening. I still was stuck in the fact of like, what's happening here?
Wow.
So, you know, that happened. And then that was like I was 14. And when I was about 26, 27, oh no, I'm like 25, 24, something like that. I was living in Augusta, Georgia. And I don't mean to jump scenarios, but just kind of giving everybody like the I call them the stamps, the part that made me have this brick skin, so to say. I was living in Augusta, Georgia, and I get a phone call from my mom that my dad passed. And I'm like, well, my dad was killed, not passed. He was killed. So I'm like, and I wasn't that close with him. My dad was a coke addict. He used to beat my mom. I've witnessed my dad stab my mom and pick her up in the air and throw her through a glass table. And me and my little sister had to pull shards of glass out of my mom's back. Like, I got stories for days, but I'm just skipping days. So my mom tells me like, hey, I don't know how you're going to take this. I don't even know if you care. You know what I mean? But I'm going to tell you something. So she's like, you know, your dad that was killed, etc. And I was like, what? So she was like, I was like, how it happened? She's like, I really don't know. But I guess your dad was like a a-hole kind of that nobody really wants to go identify him. And I was like, where's he at? She was like, he's in Ohio. And I'm like, so are you asking me to go get him or something? She was like, no, that is an option, but I'm not asking you to do that. So me and my sister had a conversation. She was like, you know, this is one of those situations where you could look back at your life and tell your kids, like, guess what I had to do? So me and my sister got this joke where like in heaven, we're the best TV show ever showing. So we're gonna live till like we're like 103 years old because they want all the seasons they could possibly get out of the Liz family. So she was like, this would be a good joke for the heaven show, right? And I'm like, you know what, you're right. F it, let's go get him. So we fly to Ohio and they allow us to rent this hearse. Whatever we identify him, we ask the authorities what happened, whatever. They say that he was at like a gas station and bought like a scratch-off ticket. And you know, I'm sure everybody can relate to this, but being Dominican, when you have no money and you get a lot of money instantly, every Spanish curse word, everything comes out your face. You start getting bachata, merengue, everything at the same time, you know. And so he's yelling this in the gas station, excited. And people are there, and he walks out. He's walking home, and I guess some local guys that heard him followed him home, stabbed him up, and took the ticket. Left him for dead and stuff like that. So I think some cameras from across from where he lived at caught it, and they caught the guys and whatever. But that's how they were able to explain the story. So we drove with him all the way back from Ohio to the Bronx. Me and my sister with our dad's corpse in the back seat, and all this stuff. And our sick twist of sense of humor was like we had these jokes to keep us calm the whole time riding. I kept on saying like, we had like these bad jokes that was bad to say, but I was like, hey, you want to stop and see if he needs to piss or something? You know, this and that. We had these really bad jokes because it was like we knew him but didn't, and we had only bad memories about him.
Gotcha.
And it was like we didn't want to hate him at the same time. Gotcha. We never wished this upon him. Gotcha. So what I tell people all the time is, especially with a situation like that, is I never take anything bad away from it. I actually thank my dad because watching things he's done to my mom and the way he treated his friends and he used to like steal my toys, my sister's toys, to sell them for cocaine and all this crazy stuff. And he was a MFer, so to say.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, he showed me who not to be. You know what I mean? So I always tell people when I talk with my dad, I respect him to the utmost because he was the villain in my life, but the villain that actually made me the hero, so to say.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? And I don't mean villain like I was against him or nothing, just villain in the sense of like I saw a lot of darkness in my life due to my dad.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like I could do a whole podcast with you just based on stories on my dad.
With your dad. Wow.
Yeah, so it's wild. So, but I would never change anything about it. Granted, I wish I could take the pain away that he gave my mom, but as far as the lessons I've received, I wouldn't want to erase those.
Made you the man that you are today.
Exactly. And then to top it off, and I'll leave it as far as the atonement there, my mom, she died from cancer. You know, she had cancer for about 9 years, and she fought this cancer. It was like cervical cancer. Then it was like they got that. It's stomach cancer. They got that. You know how cancer plays with people. It gives you this hope for so many years, and very few actually eliminated. But I knew it was, you know, I had all this hope in the world. That was like the first time that hope for me became like a joke to me, the word hope, because I was giving her a lot of hope, like, oh, you're gonna be fine, you know, come on, we the Liz family, we gonna get what we can't handle. We already been through the worst. Stuff like this and that. And I'll never forget, about a month before she passed, she couldn't walk much. She had what do they call those? The colonoscopy bags? Am I saying it right?
Yeah.
Me and my sister were going to the post office, and she wanted to come. And I'm like, no. She's like, it was snowing. She was like, look, I don't know when I'm gonna see the snow again. I could be stuck in the hospital. I could barely go anywhere. Just if it takes you 5 minutes to get to the post office, let's make it an hour today. Let's just go. I don't care. Anyway, we go in and we walk in. So she was like, hey, we need to stop. I'm like, what's wrong? She just give me a second. So I'm thinking something's wrong. My sister's like, the boss, like, what's wrong with you? She's like, just shut up. Give me a second. And she closes her eyes. And she literally kept her eyes closed for like a whole minute. So I'm just looking around and like, you know, I'm visiting from where I was living. I was living in Florida at the time. So I'm visiting from Florida to the Bronx, you know, to take care of her. And I'm looking around, I'm freezing cold. I'm like, you know, again, she's sick. So I'm not gonna be like, ah, hurry up. I was just like, I don't know what's going on. And she goes, I'm ready. And I was like, what, was you praying or something? She goes, no, I do that at the house. I was like, so what you doing? She said, let me tell you something. You ain't never gonna meet somebody that could take a dump in the street and nobody even notice it. She said, you wish you could do that. Come on, let's go. And I didn't know at the time that she had the bag at the time. So I was like, took a dump in the street. And my sister's laughing, crying, laughing. And I'm like, what are you talking about? She goes, she shows it to me and goes, you want to hold it? And I was like, what the? So mind you, when she's so sick, she got jokes talking about, you wish you could do this. I'm dumping in the street and nobody even, I got my coat on, nothing. You don't even smell it. I'm like, wow. But then, unfortunately, about a month after that, I get the phone call that she passed and stuff like that. And I got it from my little brother at the time, who was 9. Because when she passed, everybody was such in a panic, didn't really know how to handle it. And the same thing that happened to me when my brother passed, where like nobody was paying attention to me, happened to him. Luckily for him, in this time frame, we got cell phones. So he was able to like maneuver through the crowd of everybody that was just losing their minds and pick up the phone and call me. But at the same time, my little brother was like my first son to me. So it was like the worst person to get the phone call from. He was crying, he couldn't contain himself, and I had to calm him down and all this stuff. And the worst part about that is the day before, my stepdad had called me and told me, hey, I don't know what you got going on, but I don't think she has much longer. So if you could book a flight like right now, I will come because this might be the end. So I got the phone call from my little brother right when I confirmed the ticket. So I couldn't even get there to see her go. Like, I was like, I'm coming. So I go online, I'm looking. And the only thing they had to do at nighttime or the afternoon. So the only thing they had quickest was like the next morning. So I was like, all right, boom. I clicked that. As soon as I clicked it, my phone rang and she passed.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, looking up like, well, you gotta be kidding me. You know what I mean? Like, so saying all that, it's like, which I got ridiculously stories that can go on for days. I tell people a lot of times when it comes to mental health, when it comes to dealing with things, not saying that I'm indestructible. Like if I lost one of my kids now, my wife or a close friend, I'd be devastated. It's not about what you do when it happens. You know what I mean? When it happens, you can't control that. You know what I mean? Like I think I said this on a podcast. Like, you don't choose emotions. Your emotions are handed to you. You know what I mean? If I tell you, hey, Lana, this happened, and you're like, your reaction just takes place on its own.
Yes.
It's about what you do when you calm down. It's about how you handle your mental state, your emotions after you at home, or you're sitting down and you calm down, like to control your rage or your anger, or wanting to do something to yourself, or if somebody did something to that person, wanting to seek revenge and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like people will go down the path sometimes unwillingly, not noticing it. Because I tell people sometimes, like, hey, it's two people, like it's you and your brain. And your brain sometimes might be like, nah, I'm going over there, and you're just along for the trip. So I tell people a lot of times, be careful with don't worry about how you're going to react to something. Don't worry about too much how you're going to react to news, to bad news, even good news. It's like, even like when I do like movie auditions, I don't sit there and go, oh man, I hope I get this one. I hope I get this one, which I hope I get it, yes, but I just forget about it. I do an audition, I send it to my agent, it's forgotten.
Yeah.
And if they don't call me, I forgot about it. So they call me, I'm like, hey, oh great. I'm excited versus every day looking for the email. Oh, what happened? Bothering her. It's like a regular job. When you apply for a job, they don't call you to tell you didn't get it.
That's true.
They only call the person that got it.
That's true. That's true.
So I had to train myself to kind of be like, all right, let me look at this like another opportunity. I do it as good as I can. Send it in. Forget about it. So
awesome. Now, so the first big thing happened when you were 14. So I'm sure like it took you a while to evolve into the man I see today. So like, how did you learn to kind of mentally kind of put everything in perspective? Because I'm pretty sure at first you were kind of all over the place, right?
Yes. At first, I was, I guess, all over the place in my head. I wasn't like out being rambunctious or angry or being vindictive, and like, people always ask me these scenarios. I'm like, nah, man, this is not a movie. I didn't run down the street crying for hours and hang out by the river and, plant. I didn't do all that. I didn't even know I didn't think there was a river where I lived at. But what helped me get through it it was a lot of days of loneliness, in the sense of older people. When I say older people, I mean like adults. You got kids and then you have adults. Older people, anywhere from 21 all the way to 100. When really bad thing happens, like funerals, death, things like that, even good things at times, like weddings, they kind of forget the kids are there sometimes. You know what I mean? Like they're not going to understand or something. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, he was my brother. Like, how am I not understanding? Like, you don't even understand the bond we had. Like, I knew him more than you, technically. We slept in the same room, hung out all the time. We whatever. So when it first happened, there was a lot of loneliness, because it was crazy. It was like everybody was asking my mom and my stepdad how they were doing. Very rare people was asking me, my sister, how we were doing. And I guess it was because when they'll come over, we would be in our rooms. Okay. So they'll come and they'll talk to my mom. So it's like so much is happening in this intense moment, nurturing her, that you kind of, by the time you got to go, you don't think like, let me go see.
Let me check on the kids. Yeah.
Right. So, and it was nobody's fault. I get it. You know what I mean? And again, another lesson for me, because whenever I'm in places, if I'm in a wedding, if I'm somewhere, this is crazy. I hope the internet don't take this crazy. I always look for the kids.
Yeah.
The internet could take that and run with it and say something else.
No, but personal experience. Yeah, no, you got to understand that.
But no, I just play. But I always look for the kids. Like I sit down in a room full of adults, and I look around and see if anybody looks depressed, any kids look down, or is there a group of kids playing here and they're like leaving this one kid out? You know what I mean? Like, what's going on? And I go over there joking, man, what's up, little man? You good? Whatever. Or like in a funeral, I'll ask people, or not even a funeral, anything. I'll be like, who kid is that? What's going on over here? Good. Oh, that's president. What? Anybody check on him? And some people will be like, hey, I've had people say, you know what? I don't think anybody even acknowledges he's here. Let me go see if he's okay. And I'm like, yeah, go check. Because adults, we see each other, we're talking, you know, whatever, you know. So my situations have trained me to look for me in the crowd, look for the
Gotcha.
experience, what I went through, look for it in the crowd. So once I got to the point that I understood, like I don't know, it's like I understood what was happening to me. I understood at a very, very young age. You know, when I was a kid, I wasn't really into like the funny cartoons, Daffy Duck, Mickey Mouse, Bugs Bunny. I was into
Mm-hmm.
Thundercats and Voltron and He-Man, G.I., everything like, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, action, 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 and too much talking. I don't want to see this. So I guess maybe subconsciously, I kind of just put myself in a position to look at things really realistic.
Gotcha.
And it became like he's not coming back.
Mm.
How long do I cry? You know, it was questions to myself. And people should do this. Like, so how long do I cry? How long do I stay in this dark room without no vitamin D? Like,
Yeah.
like how long is this supposed to go on? And
Yeah.
that's what people do when they start crying. You kind of just keep crying in this false hope of like, it's gonna get better, but it doesn't. And it's not that you forget or you get over it. It's you have to live. You have to
Yeah.
occupy yourself.
Life is out there. Life is out
Right.
there.
Even things you don't want to do, like go to work. I don't want to go to work when this is happening, but you know, unfortunately, your job can only sympathize so long before they go, hey, you know, you gotta come back or something. So for me as a kid, as funny as this sounds, Tupac and video games saved me. I hate it.
Tupac will get you through a whole bunch of stuff. I will say that.
Oh my God, Tupac gets you through almost anything.
Tupac will get you through some stuff.
When people say Tupac dead, I'll be like, he alive. They be like, yeah, you seen him every day right here. Tupac saved my life every morning. I hear Tupac. I hear at least a Tupac record at least once a week or once a day, whatever. But I hated rap music, and it's funny because I became a rapper. I hated music, period. Like all types of music. I hated music, and I think I hated it as funny as it sounds. My brother will play music as soon as he wake up.
Oh.
LL Cool J, Shabba Ranks, Eric B. and Rakim, Prince, Michael Jackson, the Beatles. I mean, he just liked everything. So it was just everything was playing all the time. And he would play it so loud, this is hilarious, he would play it so loud in the bedroom that it would vibrate the Nintendo. So when it vibrated the Nintendo, it shut the game off. And I developed a hatred for music because of that. That when he passed, I started like diving into his clothing and you know, like looking through his stuff and like just playing it because I missed hating it. You know, I just wanted to feel like he was there. So in the midst of listening to stuff, especially hip hop music, I started, you know, especially hip hop music back then, it had more meaning.
Yes.
I started hearing LL Cool J, and I started. He was heavy into bodybuilding and all that. So I started understanding why he liked LL Cool J so much. He was like, I'm bad, Cool J. He was always working out in the gym, and I you know, when I'm alone in my room, sometimes I stare at the wall. You know, all those songs. I'm like, oh, this is good stuff, you know. And I started listening more and different kind of music, and kind of realized like, hey, I like this rap stuff. So I started liking rap, and around that time, it's kind of when I started bumping into Tupac music. You know, I get around, keep your head up. Brenda had a baby. All those. I started listening. I was like, wow, this guy is like the best thing ever. And I dove heavy into Tupac, and which opened up the world for music for me. So I would just listen to Tupac all day and play video games.
Okay.
My thing, you know.
So you don't do music producing anymore?
I still do, just not as much as I used to do before. There was a point where that was like the only thing I did when I got heavy into it, especially like in junior high school and high school. You know, people would do rap battles and stuff like that. And like, you know, I used to write little rhymes at home, but when you never tell them to nobody, you don't know if they're good or not. You know, you just like, I rap for me. You know what I mean? Me and Tupac. So I said a verse for somebody one time, and they were like, oh, blah, blah, it's good. And then people still do rap battles. And man, I start listening to them, and I'm like, I think I'm better than them. I think like I might have more bars than them, probably. You know what I mean? And you know, it was like a crowd of like black kids and some Puerto Ricans here and there, but the ones really going really hard was like the black kids. You know what I mean? So I'm sitting there like, you know, you're young, so you don't know like, can I step in this? And then so I just jumped in and started rapping. And everybody knew me and was just like, oh, they just didn't know. You know what I mean? I was like a little pretty boy and everything. That's like, oh, and then I actually won my first battle. And
Go
then like I
ahead
won another
now.
battle. And then that guy got me like in my head, like I was like going home instead of writing songs, I was writing battles. Like, I would have people that I knew battle in school, have them in my mind and write verses specifically for them in case we ever did battle.
Go
So what
ahead.
looked like a freestyle, it was me bringing up stuff that I already wrote about you.
That's that New Yorker. That's that New York stuff,
it gave me
right?
like an edge, and that led to meeting people that have studios, and the studios led me into like recording music on tapes and stuff like that, records. And then I had a small independent deal with this label that was pretty cool. We did a couple of shows. It was nice, and that fell through. Then the more I did it, the more I started getting like this confidence and doing shows. I wanted to, get the covers done for my CDs and all that. And every time I asked somebody, they wanted to. I was a kid, like I didn't have money like that, so they always wanted to charge me all this money that I didn't have.
Okay.
And then like I got angry and was like, I'm gonna just learn how to do it myself. So I learned how to do the CD covers, and I learned how to make beats. I learned how to record myself and ask my mother for money. I wanted to do this, and I just bought. She was like, your chores are between your part-time jobs. You can buy whatever you need. I'll take you. So I built my own little small studio, record my own music, printed my own covers, and then I was really into like wanting to know how to film a video because I was always like, oh, I've never seen a person that knew me or independently have a music video. I need to film a video. So everybody I would ask that I knew kind of knew how to film a video, again, hit me over the head with these prices. And I'm like, and then I just got to the point where I was like, they're hitting me with these prices because they don't believe in me. They're like, oh, you trash, so I'm going to charge you this because you're not going nowhere. That's how I started taking it.
Okay.
So like this vendetta against people that were like trying to play me started. I was like, they're trying to play me. I see what's happening here. And that became a thing for me. And I think I say this phrase in every single interview podcast I've ever been in. People always say, what drives you the most? And I always say, people trying to play me. Like, I'm not saying I'm the best, but I'm saying I'm great in a lot of things I do. You know what I mean? The feedback, and I put a lot of passion and effort and dedication, sleepless nights into my craft and this and this and that. And then I'm a person that loves to help people. That when I meet people that don't want to help in return, I'm like,
yes.
I'm like, yo, like, where's I start saying to myself, like, where's the karma? Where's the where's the universe at? Like, I gave so much and I'm just asking for like this. And it's like, nope, you gotta pay this. I'm like, and I'm cool with paying, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
You do a good job, I'm gonna pay you for it. But when you're amongst people that you believe in and they say they believe in you and you're trying to build something together, and it's like the same love don't get given back.
True.
I just got to that point where I was like, I get it. I need to learn how to do everything I like to do on my own. So the music led to Photoshop. Photoshop led to being a photographer. Photographer led into doing videos. Video led into video editing. And then all my music videos, I would have like a little bit of acting and comical stuff that people would tell me all the time, like, you should do a movie. And I was like, you right. You right. So it was like, all I gotta do, in my mind, I saw it like such an easy task. I was like, all I gotta do is get people, right, that wanna act, and I write a script, and I got music. I could put in the movie already. I got the script, I got the video equipment, I got this, I know how to, let's make a movie. So we just started shooting movies here and there. And it wasn't until like later on that I started taking it like really serious, and I produced movies. Like, I got a movie on Amazon called Mistakes and Monsters.
I saw that one, yeah.
So that's out there. And another one called, what's the name of this movie? Unplugged. It's like a comedy movie and stuff like that. Then I also assisted in directing other movies that I've been in. Okay. And then through the directing, I got heavy into the acting and met different people. Because in every project I made, I acted a little bit in it.
Okay.
So people started seeing that, and that led me to meet different people, and those people introduced me to my agent, and we just here today.
Jack of all trades. Okay. Well, that brings me to my next question, or makes me think about my next question. Since you are in the entertainment industry, and that is a interesting beast of its own.
Yeah.
Okay. What would you, with your experience, how does a person who wants to get into that industry kind of mentally stay strong? Because it's
very cutthroat, very not cutthroat. That's wrong. I'm sorry. Very emotionless.
Because, and I'm asking not to cut you off, because you say, I give and I want somebody to give back what I'm giving, but the entertainment industry doesn't play.
No, definitely not. It's to get into it, it's a little nice, drive me crazy. To get into it, it's funny you asked that because the podcast I have is called We Alive and Living. My podcast is about people in the industry dealing with mental health.
Okay.
So it's kind of awesome that you're asking that because it's like that's like my thing going on because people see actors or not only actors, it could be directors, it could be anybody, doctors, yourself, anybody, and whatever craft you choose to do, nobody ever acknowledges what you went through to get that one win. You know what I mean? It's like hypothetically, I do something huge tomorrow, and then me and you having this conversation again 3 months from now. Now I'm like on a higher level, so to say. So it's like awesome for your platform, and I remember you gave me your platform, so in return I want to hook you up. Look how you make it. You know how it goes. So somebody else will look at you and be like, "Wow, like, that's awesome. You got him, and you're a beast." But nobody ever pays attention to how many interviews you did, how many. And that's not saying that one interview is better than the next or more important than the next. They're all important, but you know what I mean? In the sense of like trying to get to the next level, nobody ever stops to go, well, man, how she got him? And in your mind, you're like, man, of course, I would have loved to have the whoever, the Steve Harveys, the whoever. I would love to have big execs or whoever talking to them constantly. Have it go. Not saying you don't, but just saying like for people that don't see the part of the hustle, and nobody ever sees the when you like I said earlier, when you do auditions and nobody calls you back. And I got this gift and a curse. I mean, my agent calls it, she said, you have this awesome gift that leads to this terrible curse. You look a certain way and you could play so many characters. You could play a mixed black guy. She's like, you could play a Jamaican guy. And I stopped, I was like, a Jamaican guy? She's like, you never looked at Sean Paul? And I was like, I didn't think about that. But sure, you can play a Dominican guy. You can just play Arabic, whatever. So when people look at your picture, they instantly are like, oh, this guy. But then sometimes the role will be so crazy. And I'm like, they want me to speak in an Arabic accent in this one, like, and use these words, which I can do, but there's, in my mind, I'm like, maybe there's somebody that can do this better. Like, and so, and I had that in my head. And when I'm doing the audition, it's in my way. You know what I mean? So I'm not giving it my all and I get distracted. But lately I went through a new coaching with this person that now I'm like really like out of my way. Like now I'm like doing the auditions on a whole different level now. But and answer your question, it's like you do so many auditions, and even though there's not somebody there physically saying, no, we don't want him, when you don't get the call, it was a no. You know what I mean? And it feels even worse when you can't even get a why. You can't call the director and be like, so who you picked and why? Not like I'm mad about it, just I want to know what did they do better
for the
than
next
me?
time, so I can do better for the next time. Yeah.
And it's frustrating. You're gonna love this. I've gotten auditions. This is hilarious. Can you see me good? I know my lighting is crazy.
No, I got you.
Okay. I've gotten auditions that say this, and whoever's watching as an actor, they're gonna love this. I'm sure every actor's gone through this at least once or twice or 100 times. It will say on a breakdown, it'll be like, we need a person that can imitate a New York accent. If they're from New York, better. Dominican or Puerto Rican or both. Ages 40 to 45. Skin complexion. They'll break down all that, and they'll say something crazy like, name Raxiel. And that's the name of the character. And I'm like, this is me. So I'll laugh and be like, oh, and I look at the script, I'll read it, I'm like, oh, this is how I talk. You know what I mean? Like, this is how I was raised, like really fast talking, crazy. I'm like, oh, we got this. I ain't even got to act. I'll do it 2 or 3 times. I'll even send them 2 or 3 different versions, like so they can have samples.
Yeah.
No, not good enough. No, like I don't know who they picked. So one time I got really curious, so I wrote down the name of the movie I was auditioning for, and this is a true story. I was auditioning for the last Shaft movie they made with Samuel L. Jackson, where he had his son, and the older Shaft, and those all 3 Shafts. I was supposed to be in that movie, right? So they wanted everything I just described to you was actually the breakdown to that movie for this character. And I'm like, oh, so I got so bothered, like, what? Even my agent was like, I'm really not understand. I don't understand why they didn't pick you. She saw the audition tape, she was like, I'm coming to the red carpet with you because you got this. Yeah. The movie comes out, and I went to the movie theaters. And I like Shaft, but I'll catch Shaft maybe on DVD or streaming. I'm not going to the movie theaters to watch Shaft. no against Samuel Jackson. It's just not my cup of tea, that movie. But I went to the theaters to watch it because the anxiety was killing me. Like, I want to know who they picked. It was a Mexican guy with a Mexican accent that was acting like a New Yorker. And he wasn't even tall. He was like, the character they wanted like a 5'11". I'm 5'11". And the guy was like this short 5'9", maybe something. And not saying nothing bad about the guy. My point is, how did y'all send this breakdown and y'all want a pure New Yorker, and this is the guy you picked?
You could have had the real thing.
And it goes to show you that, no disrespect to nobody, no nationality, white people or anybody, it's when you have people that don't understand our culture requesting something. You know, I don't know if you know the comedian D-Ray. He said it on one of his Netflix specials. He was saying that, you know, he was like, that they sent him an audition. They said they wanted a black guy to play a black guy from Chicago, this and this and that.
That's him.
And he was like, that's me. And he was like, y'all didn't hear me. And I'm not going to say the exact words, but he was like, they want the N-word to play the N-word for the white folks. And so he went through his thing, and at the ending, he said that they told him, we don't feel like you're acting black enough. We don't, you know, you're not scaring me. I want you to be like, raw, you know, I'm going to get robbed, I'm going to die. And I was like watching, like, wow, I understand. I understand. The joke was so funny that it wasn't even funny to me anymore. I took it personally. I was like, I get it.
Yeah.
Now I get it. It's people, and no disrespect to casting directors or nothing like that, but there's times, not all the time, but a lot of times where they're requesting something that they don't understand.
They don't even know.
You know what I mean? Somebody wrote a script, gave it to this cast of people, and it's probably like a very beautiful cast of people. Probably they want some Indians, some Jamaicans, some Dominicans in there, and it's people with, you know, Joe from down the street that's never been out of the United States, and he's the guy in charge of getting all these people. So when that happens, it makes it difficult because it's like, wow, so how was a Dominican named Raxiel from the Bronx 5'11" supposed to act? Because I've been fooled my whole life.
Thank you. Maybe I missed it.
Yeah, I missed something. So, and I gave you all that insight to show how much it can mentally mess with you, and how much you want to give up sometimes. And, you know, you start doubting, am I good enough? Should I keep this going? Do I suck? And then you start doing things like diving back into your old movies and looking at yourself and like, you know, I started saying things at one point, I'm glad it turned around. I've been booking more things lately, but at one point I was like, how did I go from shaking hands with Michael B. Jordan to meeting Oprah and being on HBO to like, nobody even know who the hell I am right now? Like, what's going on? Y'all still see me here? Like, was not fans and stuff, but like as far as the people in charge.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I had a big talk with my agent and told her, I was like, I think I want to quit. And then luckily she saw so much potential, and she was like, I think you're just in a rut in your head. Like,
yeah,
you're allowing the slowdown to beat you up, and you want it so bad. You have like your passion overpowers your patience. And when she said that to me, I was like, wow, it resonated with me because I was like, you're right. And I had to calm down, and my wife helped me a lot. It's like, you know, she's like, listen, you know, you're great. You know, you're that dude. You got this. You've been in enough movies, enough shows, and you've written enough things. You know, you got it. Yeah. It's just, you're in the right place. It's just not your time yet. Yeah. So
season is coming. Season is coming.
Yeah, you know, so, and that's your question. It's definitely a hard industry, the acting thing. It's like, it's nerve-wracking. It's hard. Even when you get a role, sometimes the director could be an a-hole, and you're there and you're trying to do your thing, and he's like, no, who got this guy? No, not to me, but like I've seen it happen to people. And they just like, because they're feeling so high and mighty. And you never know when something's going to try to mess with you and alter your personality or alter your feelings, your emotions. And so I got to the point where it just became like stay busy. You know, I'm very sociable on social network. I don't wait for movie directors to call me. I direct my own films at times to keep myself out there, which has helped me at times. I booked a movie that's filming in, a TV show that's filming in August. It's called Exposed, and my social media platform helped me with that. Like they ran into me on my Instagram page. Okay. So when they saw it, they was like, oh, and they asked me like, hey, do you have an agent? I said, yeah. They usually they go through the agent to get to you. This time they actually found me and asked for the agent. Okay. So saying that to help people understand, like, you can be the best actor in the world, And sometimes it's not about how skilled you are. It's just that person. This is a good point. You could be the best, but it'll take somebody with an eye to acknowledge that. You can have an untalented casting eye.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I'm sure one time somebody probably didn't think LeBron was the best, or Jordan, or oh, you ain't gonna make it, or Drake, or whoever, whoever passed them up. And it's you have a talent, but you need to meet the talented person that know how to go. That's the girl. That's the guy. You know what I mean?
That one.
So when I kind of let that sink in my head, I was like, yeah, I think the problem is not that I'm not good enough. It's just the people looking at me are not good enough for their job.
They don't have the right eyes.
Yeah, so that helps me get through it, and it's been helping because now I'm like out of my way. I do my auditions. I give it everything I got. I don't beat myself up so much about it, and I just keep pushing. Like, all right, this is coming. I just gotta keep busy and do what I gotta do, and it's gonna come.
Awesome. I mean, you're just a jack of all trades and master at all of them. Like I said, I was really surprised. I wasn't expecting to see such that powerful dynamic in the movie, and to see you pull off your own role. Like I said, I was highly pissed at you in the movie. So, just excellent. You know what? I was only supposed to talk to you for 30 minutes.
Okay.
And I've not even gotten to what I wanted to talk to you about. You've got your book that I did, and you've got this issue with unicorns I wanted to discuss. I think I'm gonna ask you that because unicorns are my thing.
Okay. No, you're fine. I'm on your time. I mean, I don't want to go over your time, but if you have another question, it's fine. I made time.
I want to ask about the unicorns, and then we'll shut it down.
No problem.
Because unicorns are my thing. But I think
I have unicorns in Spanish tattooed on my wrist.
Okay. So explain to us, what are unicorns to you?
Well, I have a book called "Shut the F Up and Love."
Mm-hmm.
There's a book right here. It doesn't have the curse word. The U is covered with a heart. Mm-hmm. And it's basically called "Shut the F Up and Love," and meaning like, kind of how I view life. Like, and I think we spoke about this on Jay's podcast. Mm-hmm. Man, life don't care what you're going through. Mm-hmm. It's gonna keep going. When you're here, you're not here, you're dead in the ground, you're gone. It's gonna plow over you, plant flowers. It's gonna keep going. So taking everything I've been through, it became like a joke to me almost. Like I was like, man, if this is how I started looking at it. This is the TV show in heaven thing. Yeah. I started saying to myself, if my life was a movie, would I be sad for me or would I be laughing? Mm. And I came with the conclusion of both. Like, I feel bad for this guy, but I'll still be laughing at it. I'll be like, oh my God, this is happening to him too? Oh my God, she breaking up with him? Oh my God, not the baby mama, not the dad. Oh my God, this guy must have been the worst guy in the past life. So, I'll start thinking like, but at the same time, as the show goes on, I'll start rooting for this guy. Like, man, he's not stopping. Mm. They can't stop this guy. He's still laughing. He's still making others laugh. He's still getting up. His kids don't see no anger. They just see happy person. His wife sees a happy person. His friends still looking for him. So when I was writing the book, I didn't want to offend nobody. Because, we live in a world now that I can
politically correct, yeah.
Yeah, I can say hello to you the wrong way and I'm the worst person in the world.
Yeah.
So honestly, I really don't care how I say things. I'm not a disrespectful person. Mm-hmm. So I never watch what I'm saying too much because I don't have disrespect or wanting to do harm. It's not in my heart. Yeah, I don't want to harm nobody. So I don't be like tiptoeing around words because I'm like, the wrong word's not going to come up. And if you took something wrong, I'll apologize once I understand why, etc. Mm-hmm. So when I was writing the book, I was like, okay, let me acknowledge this thing that I can't just be like, God's after us. Mm-hmm. We're a TV show to him in heaven, and he's just watching and laughing and waiting for you to come, for he can tell you, you look like an idiot on earth. Yeah, God and Jesus, like, hey man, look at this guy. You know what I mean? That was how I was gonna write it at first. Mm-hmm. And I was like, nah, maybe that's me tapping into my sense of humor too much. And everybody's not gonna see this. And I don't mean it in a disrespectful way, but like it's like a text message. Yeah. When you read a text, it could come off all types of ways. And I'd be like, no, that's not how I meant it.
True.
So I was like, people are gonna read this text message the wrong way. So I started sitting down and I said to myself, what's something that to everybody is beautiful? and everybody likes it. You never hear nobody say nothing bad about it. So I started thinking, and one day I looked over and I had it. My son had this unicorn piggy bank, and I look at it and I was like, the unicorns, they're not real, at least that I know of. They're always beautiful. They're always magical. Nobody ever got nothing bad to say about the unicorns.
Nothing.
So I thought it'd be funny to make the unicorns God, and not only God, but like the universe. You know, the universe, God.
Okay.
Technically, whatever you believe in.
Gotcha.
It could be God. It could be the universe. If you're an atheist, and what's the thing that people that's Scientology, whatever you believe in the book, the unicorn is your belief.
Okay.
So when I talk about it, like, you know, some people just believe in life, like, oh, life is after me or whatever. So I looked at it like in the book, I was like, yo, these unicorns, they don't stop. You know what I mean? So it's like you're looking up at something so beautiful and it's just there to ruin your day. And you're like, what's going on here? But as much as I attack the unicorns, as you read the book, you start noticing that I'm really not attacking them.
Okay.
I'm just trying to relate to you. You know, people always like, man, I don't know what's going on. God ain't listening to my prayers. Like the universe just has it out for me. And I'm like, nah, you know, you got to make your own destiny. You got to build your own path. God paying attention to everybody. So don't tell me that he just focusing on you and attacking you. That's
right.
Because you must do something crazy. So I start the book off with this blame towards the unicorns. They after us and they're pooping on your lawn as you're drinking coffee. And it's like a bunch of stuff like that in the book. It's crazy. And then I talk about that riding the unicorn is a beautiful woman. And she has like the best looking body. And she has a sword made of fire. And she's about to ram it up your, you know? So I'm trying to make people understand like, yeah, he's right. And as you're reading it, they start going like, oh, wait, the unicorn isn't doing anything. The unicorn exists. It's just flying on by, and this girl riding this unicorn. It could be a guy too. I write in there. I'm saying girl because I'm a guy, but I write like he, her.
Yeah.
So after a while, I stopped writing. I just write her because they understand like whoever's on the unicorn is your preference.
Yes.
So you get to the point where you're like, wow, the unicorns are not after us. It's just that every time they're going wrong, what do? Oh my God. You know what I mean? Like, and when things go good, what do? Oh, thank you, God. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So you got to think about it. Like, what's the first thing we do when we get mad? Oh, you look up in the air, like, are you happy? Oh, thank you. Whatever emotion is even if you look down at the ground, you still look up at some point. So I was like, we need to acknowledge that the unicorns are not after us. They're just watching and
they're just there,
making sure the grass grows, making sure the sky is blue, and making sure the world spins.
That's true. Awesome.
We're here bumping into things and you had some car, it wasn't them. So I took it so serious and made it a big part of the book that even in the back of it, you see the unicorn with the words inside of it and everything like that. And then when me and my wife got our first giant tattoo, I wanted to write something inside of it. And we was contemplating. She was like, how do you say unicorns in Spanish? And I was like, unicornios. And she was like, let's get that. And I was like, you mean to be a grown man writing unicorns on my wrist? And she was like, well, you believe in them so much. And I was like, let's do it. So that's how it came up. So that's the answer to the unicorn. The unicorns is kind of emphasizing the universe and that they're not after you. They're just watching over you, so to say.
Okay.
I was like, hold on, you can't be attacking my unicorn.
Yeah, you got me. I was like, hold on, this is my thing now. All right. Okay, you're forgiven. Okay, so let me go ahead and do my random question, and then I'm going to ask you to tell how we connect with you because, yes, I have taken up way. I'm sorry to take up.
No, you're perfectly fine. I love it. I'm sorry if I rambled on too long and made you.
Oh, no.
Oh, you actually have random questions. That's awesome. I thought you were going to ask me a random question.
No, I actually have random questions. So let's see what we've got here.
All right.
What's one item on your bucket list?
Oh, well, I already went skydiving. Honestly, it might be a little cliche, but lately it's been what I've been dwelling into. It's my son is 2 right now. And I feel like currently, even though I've achieved a lot, I'm not where I want to be, and I feel like I'm failing him. Me personally, I feel like I'm failing. And he, I work, I do what I gotta do, we got a nice house, everything, but I'm not the superhero I want him to see when he starts understanding life.
Okay.
And his brain starts opening up and he got questions.
Oh.
I truly don't feel like I'm there yet, like not even close yet. So my bucket list is really to work as hard as I can and really put my ducks in a row to get to the point where when he looks up and life starts really making sense, like, oh, we have to do these things to survive and we have to go to work and this and that. And, well, we got all this because he did this and my parents did that. I want to get to the point where he can look up and I can explain to him like, hey, this isn't everybody's life. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I went on an insane rampage before you got to this point to make this happen. And that's honestly a big bucket list that eats me alive every day. Like whenever I'm home sitting down and just doing nothing, he'll run by and joke around and do something. As happy as I feel, it starts eating me alive.
Okay.
And I'm like, I need to make this happen. Because I've done so many things in my life that I don't know what a bucket list extra thing would be to add to it. You know, I want everybody to be great. I want my family to have good health and, you know, things. But after skydiving, it was like a...
Okay, done it, Ryan.
What else do we do aside from grab the unachievable? So, but yeah, my son is like a big thing in my life.
All right. The parenthood will make you change a lot of your ways around and wants and push yourself a little bit hard. Push yourself a little. Well, sir, how do we pick up the book? How do we do the podcast? How do we connect with you? If we want a New Yorker with a New York accent who's Dominican named Raxiel for our next film, I mean,
5'11" in height. Let me know which kind you want. I could be a Mexican one too. I could be a Cuban one, you know, Jamaican. I could be a Jamaican Dominican from New York.
Yeah. So tell us how we connect with you.
Yeah, it's real easy. I could say 100 platforms, but you can just go directly to my Instagram at RAXIEL_LIZ, Raxiel Liz. And there is a little link on top of my bio that says all my links, and you can get all my books from Amazon, movies I've filmed on Amazon, the links to movies that I've been in and things I've done, my podcast, my YouTube page, my music, my Spotify, everything, even my vocal page. I didn't know why I had one of those, but literally everything that I do that I can put somewhere out there, I have a link that says all my links on my Instagram page. And you can also Google me. You can type in Raxiel Liz and my IMDb page comes up. So whichever one is easier for you, just go there and hopefully you'll find something you like. Be prepared. The book is a gut punch to the stomach. I also have a kid's book, like I told you before. I didn't know my daughter was a ninja, so I got a little bit for everybody. And it's just to show that, you know, I'm still a kid inside as much as I got to do adult things. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, sir, I have truly enjoyed you. I have not ran into a New Yorker yet that I have not enjoyed. You know, there's something about just wonderful people. I don't know why people talk so badly about you. Huge hearts, huge hearts. Much success to you, and thank you. Just keep on doing what you're doing. I'm from little old me, I'm impressed. And
no, I appreciate it. I appreciate you having me on the show. I really do.
Oh, awesome. So when you get big and everything, I'll be like, I remember when I pull out this interview. I remember when I interviewed him and he gave me some time. Look, so
hopefully I get big, we're gonna do another one. I promise you that. I got a list of everybody I want to go back and, you know, do things we forget. I definitely do.
Thank you. All right.
You have a great day.
All right. That's all for this week's episode of The Male Perspective. I'm your host, Lana Reid, and we will see everybody next time.